Welcome to the 2021 Economic Preparation and Depression channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me once again on this Wednesday edition, middle of the month, hump day, September 15th, 2021. It's so glad to be back with you and live in person in the studio here. And I want to say that we're going to be talking about a number of events here today, but please be sure you make sure you subscribe to this channel for the latest news. We're going to be talking about inflation and the current issues that's bogging down the world economy that many are worried about, not just here in America, but in Asia, Europe, Africa, and elsewhere, Oceania. The current issues that are weighing down on people for the next 4 or 5 years. The good news is we are still here in the land of the living. We're blessed, and I'm thankful for each and every one of you and your support. And so we're going to get right into it. Here we go right here. Today we're going to be talking about the first thing. The CPI report came out on Tuesday. That's the Consumer Price Index report, likely to show inflation continuing to run hot. Most of us are not surprised by this, but it puts the Federal Reserve in a tough spot. Right now, inflation is at 5.4% and rising. We'll get the latest numbers here in about 2 weeks, 1 to 2 weeks, once they have another meeting, Federal Reserve Bank, and that is going to top, inflation is going to top 6% by the end of this month, end of September. And this is setting the tone ahead for the Fed's meeting next week. They're meeting next Tuesday, I believe, sometime next wek. And they're going to move the timetable on tapering its bond purchases. As you know, they're purchasing $120 billion of bond purchases per month. And they were planning on scaling that down. I don't think they're going to be able to now with this inflation running very hot. You know, every time you go into the store, you know, this lady here is in the Albertson store in San Diego, California. Bread, food has gone up. You get a few items and you're already at $50 to $60 already. Things are going up tremendously, and it's going to continue to go up. And this is why we preach on this channel self-sufficiency in terms of food. If you can get emergency food supply, or even if you can get seeds and grow your garden with heirloom seeds on your porch or in your backyard, that will help out tremendously, because you got to experiment with different seeds. Not all growing seasons are the same, but depending on even the Northeast or the Southeast or the Midwest or the West. But there's some things that you can do to help mitigate the damages, because this food prices are going to be here to stay going to be rising through 2024. And gas is going up now, and everything is going up. So this index does not include food, energy, and utilities that we know have been going up since the beginning of this COVID pandemic in March 2020. So now that we're a year and a half, almost 2 years into this thing, we are in for a big surprise, because inflation is rising faster than the Federal Reserve wants to admit here. As you can see this chart here, look, we haven't reached the peak yet. It hasn't reached the peak yet. I predicted you that the peak would be at 10 to 11% by the summer of 2022, and we're halfway there, and we're on our way past the halfway mark here. As you can see, the mountain is climbing, the roller coaster is climbing here, just as I predicted. Now, it's nothing to be afraid of, guys. We've seen this before. America, the economy will survive. As I said, this time we're going into a double dip recession, yay, a depression. Car prices are about to soar again. This was in CNN Business here just today, September 15th, 2021. Blame Hurricane Ida. There's always an excuse. Last time it was the chip shortage. You remember they said they couldn't put the chips in the trucks and vans until there was shortages with Honda, Toyota, and all these other companies, right? Now they're saying, and the media is reporting that car prices are about to soar again. Maybe they mean new car prices, because the average price of a used car has went up by $5,000 or $6,000 just in the past 4 months here. And I don't even want to think about a new car. The average car payment in America right now is about $540 for a new car. Okay, and some are paying more than that. I know some of my coworkers are paying $650 a month, and that's not counting insurance, gas, inspections, all kinds of things that you may have to pay in addition just to operate the vehicle, maintenance. So you guys understand exactly what I'm talking about here. But car prices are going to be going tremendous. And another thing too that people don't understand is that these Hondas, Toyotas, Fords, Nissans, Mazdas, whatever, that come from the factory with those computer chips. Nowadays, these cars have so many sensors and hybrid electric and hybrid gas and blah, blah, blah. It's not like back in our day when only chip we had in our car was basically like in the radio or something like that. Or was the car that had an engine that was easier to work on. Nowadays, you have to bring it into a shop because there's so many sensors and cameras and things that you mess up one thing, it'll never run right again. And, you're easily looking at $1,000 bill or a $2,000 repair bill for an engine or a transmission or a hybrid transmission, a CVT or something like that. It's just unbelievable. And so this is going to be new problems for car buyers If you can hang on to used cars, get them now and service them. Start getting, go to AutoZone or Advance Auto or one of these O'Reilly's or whatever you have in your neighborhood. Go there and get, spare parts like spare brake pads, spare, maybe even you can order tires on, I think, on Amazon. They're already balanced and rotated for your vehicle. Spare batteries, things of those nature that kind of general maintenance issues that you can kind of like get a handle on without having to go to a shop. As long as it's not an engine rebuild or anything, then you may have to toss it and turn it in and trade it in. Especially for ladies out there, you may have to just trade it in and get something more recent, obviously, because every car has a lifespan. But with these historical high car prices, both new and used soared in the face of strong demand, tight inventories this summer. Caused by dearth of computer chips and spare parts with limited production right here. So everybody's preaching this shortage. You notice that there's shortages in food, shortages in hiring. They're saying that companies are saying now that they're having a hard time finding workers, which is not true. As you know, Americans, we want to work, men, woman, boy, and girl. Everybody wants to work. But the problem is the wages are not keeping up, and nobody wants to work for low wages and low hours. You're not even getting the 40-hour work week. And a lot of these jobs, you're getting 30 hours or less or 25 hours or less, and that's just not enough to make ends meet, as you know. And the issues that are worrying the global economy, this is from World Economic Forum. If you ever get a chance to check it out, weforum.org, they talk about different agendas that's going on in the world. Obviously, COVID-19 is the biggest issue seen globally, as you can see here, because of all the variants and, thank God for the vaccinations and everything. But it's not the end all be all, unfortunately. There's going to be new variants, as you know, and this is going to be a never ending thing. Like I said, COVID-19 is here to stay through Agenda 2030, through the year 2030. And, just like the flu and everything else we've had to deal with in America, it's here to stay. Climate change is a big issue, too. Obviously, these hurricanes. And then more than a third survey placed the pandemic, of course, in the top issue. But look at the other issues here. Unemployment was second. Oh, yes. This is globally, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, this is globally. This is a representative sample of 19,000 adults aged 16 to 74 in 28 participating countries. And they conducted this survey from July 23rd to August 6, 2021, just to give you some context. So let's look at the things here. Unemployment. Oh, that is huge. Ladies and gentlemen, unemployment, 31% of people said that's the next biggest issue, along with poverty and social inequality. Look at that correlates. If we don't have a job, or self-employed, or contractor worker, or whatever, or retired, and if you're not making a meaningful contribution to society, obviously you're going to be and the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Obviously, there's going to be more civil unrest, right? And crime. Look at this: financial and political corruption, that came in third at 29%. Crime and violence, right behind that, 25%. Healthcare. Oh man. If you can't afford health, imagine, even if you got the vaccinations, even what in case a new virus comes out and we don't have vaccine in time and you get sick that you have to go to the hospital. Imagine not having a healthcare coverage or something that you do, but it can't afford, you still end up with a bill. That can be crippling. 21% of the people in the world of this survey said that that's next up in line. Education, taxes, climate change, inflation. Some stuff toward the bottom of the list was access to credit, childhood obesity, maintaining social programs, terrorism. Those things are more related to more the kind of the broader aspects of life. But the main things is dealing with shelter, food, water, clothing, social inequality, corruption, crime and violence, your own personal safety. Those things are high up on the list, and health. So this tells you that the world is showing here. The world worries long-term trend, as you can see from this chart. The world is worrying about the health and safety of people's own family and their own communities. And this is very troubling because this shows that one thing that COVID-19 has taught us all is that we need to have multiple streams of income, and that also we need to be multiple ways of getting ready. Everybody always talks about preparedness, and they always say, "Oh, get your food and water." And I do the same thing. I talk about that too. But what we fail to mention too, is there's going to be a mental component to this, because this is going to be a spiritual component, because this is going to be a long-term event. We're talking the next 12 years here. We won't come out of this whole transition that America's into until the year 2030 or 2030, somewhere around there, 2030 or 2031. And that may include war or some kind of black swan event, like a climate change event as well, in multiple parts of the world, not just the United States. So granted that you need to be spiritually and mentally ready as well. That means you need to be prayed up, walking close to God, Also, and also sharing with others, witnessing with others, which, testifying to what God has done in your life in terms of financially, spiritually, physically, mentally, socially. Being able to talk with people too is a very good thing too, to help ease these concerns, because obviously people in the world are worried. Everybody's worried about something, and everybody has, things going on in their lives that they worry about. But this is just in August 2021, just last month, as you can see this chart. The issues is for personal safety, health, financial concerns, political concerns, education, taxes, things that are really going to impact the daily lives of everybody. And today, you look at the illusion of the stock market. Today, the stock market was up 236 points, or about a little over a half of a percentage point today, right? And you have to ask yourself, when you look at the Dow Jones, is this reflective of the real economy? And the answer is no, ladies and gentlemen. It's not. It hasn't been reflective. Everybody always asks you the same thing. What do they say on TV? And they say, I can't wait to get back to normal. When are we going to get back to normal? And my question to those folks is, when have we ever been normal? We have never been normal since 2008. Yay, we have never been normal since 2001. We just celebrated the anniversary of September the 11th. 20 years ago, and we haven't been normal since then. Ever since then, our personal freedoms have been curtailed even more further. Our world has been thrown into more and more chaos. There's been more attacks, more things going on, and the financial world never recovered from 2001. We recovered a little bit when they papered it over, but now we're at a point of a changing economy, a changing social demographic, a changing everything, and it may be too much to bear. We just have to wait and see. So this is an illusion. Remember, Venezuela's economy melted up too. Their stock market melted up too, above 34,000, 50,000. So Weimar Germany's economy melted up. Okay, so, and that's because of the money printing. So more money you print, but the purchasing power of that money becomes less and less, as you know. As you know, it's when you go to the ATM. Look at the bills that you get out of the ATM if you go next time. Look how fresh they are. You're talking about bills that were newly minted in 2020, just last year, out of the ATMs now. That tells you there's too much money in the system right now. And this funny money is going to come to an end. And when it does, it's going to crash. Most of this system is going to correct by 50 to 60%, or even 70%. And it's going to cause a nightmare situation for a lot of, starting in the Western world, America, the UK, and all of that. And then it's going to propagate throughout the rest of the world, because we're all interconnected in this global economy. Okay. And so in the global economy, unfortunately, since we've been at the top so long as a so-called superpower, but now we're not a superpower because China's taken over, that means that the Eastern world is going to rise. China, Russia, India, okay, those countries. The developing nations are going to rise. Developing economies, Brazil, Singapore, those countries like that are going to, Africa, even some countries in Africa are going to rise, and our standard of living is going to go lower and lower, which is not, necessarily totally a bad thing. It's just that we're not used to that as Americans, because we're used to getting products and services over here on demand, on our phones, just constantly on demand. That's not going to be the case when we go to this next crisis. And this next crisis is going to bring in, usher in, as some people call socialism. I call it more totalitarianism, if I can pronounce that right. Somebody help me with that. Totalitarianism. That's going to be the new system, sort of a neo-feudalism, totalitarianism system that's going to be led by AI, robots, by everything that is more so against human contact and things of that nature. So be prepared. Stay blessed, everyone. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions in the comments, please be below, and please tell your friends to subscribe. I appreciate your support, and I'll talk to you very soon later on. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.